Okay, hello everyone, apologies. My previous video, which I don't know if I uploaded it even because it was a rant. It had 2 comments on it rendered in a video, and that meant that for some reason it took about 20 times, or at least 10 times as long as normally the video would take to render. So yeah, there is a cut of about 40 minutes. And yeah, I was saying that there was snow, and I corrected myself that it was more like ice, icy rain, but that it would probably become a snow, and yeah, there is snow now. I did a very basic editing in this last video, so like I added do not harass this person. Like, this person isn't a problem exactly. They aren't a problem. It's that we don't have a dialogue about this stuff. AI has 50 million problems, what we call AI. Ethical, moral, others, judicial, lawful, yeah, all kinds of problems. But you can't apply. It's a tool. For better or worse, it's a tool that was created and that is and will be used more. So cannot make a simple determination. Person uses tool for unknown reason. You do not state the reason why. Person uses tool equals person evil. And by the way, for the fans of AI who like to call other people Luddites, do you know? No, you don't know about Luddites. Like, not really, right? Because their grievances were genuine, like they were on the wrong side of history. And overall, I would say that yes, we did need an industrial revolution in many senses, but that doesn't make them less human or worthless or something, or worse. It doesn't make their arguments invalid. Their tragedies, the tragedies they had in life, their lives. Well, yes, if we are lucky now, half of the population of the world might feel it. I don't know, how do you feel about the fact that hundreds of times more people than Luddites are currently being affected, at the very least, in the same way as Luddites were, by their job being thrown out, losing their jobs by other means, like artists. And yes, there will be AI art. I'm sorry, I don't know. Please. I know that the word AI became a word for machine learning and LLM, but stable diffusion. It's not AI art. Please don't use this term. Stable diffusion, you will see stable diffusion in games, for example. You will see it in other places. And not as a tool for creativity that it could have been used, like, I don't know, 10, 20 years ago. Oh, we use something rare, one of a kind, trained on, I don't know, 50 of my own drawings. Maybe it will by accident make something creative because it will see a link that I don't see, or it thinks there is there, but the link there is expressed in such abstract language that we do not have words for it in any human language for the concept, if there is even a concept there. Like, okay, that might have been interesting or something. No, you will see mass-produced stable diffusion in games. And it's not just stable diffusion, yes, I know. Artists are currently losing a lot, and they are being impacted for years now. But since they aren't like a gigantic community, the people overlook them. Besides, a lot of people have, oh well, it's STEM where it counts, it's not artistic endeavors, bullshit argument. Yeah, not great arguments, to put it mildly. Like, I don't know, maybe ask someone famous like TB Skyen or someone like that, someone who knows a bit about being an artist and artistry, but also about critiquing art and about knowing art from different directions, not just from one point of view. Maybe he could tell you about Luddites, how wrong and how right they were, because they in their personal tragedies, yes, they were very, very correct. The world might not see them like that, but that doesn't mean that their personal lives weren't messed up and that their arguments were worthless. The problem is that you will have with AI what you had with social media. For example, now we are switching from losing jobs to misinformation. I don't know if you remember, but there are still talks like social media is the worst creation of of mankind. It allowed for spreading propaganda and misinformation. So much so that more than TV, more than that. And when TV was invented, it was of course the worst creation of, and it's partially true. AI is already being used to such a degree, because it's not just artists that lose jobs, it's often editors, it's often writers in newspapers who lose at least part of their jobs because, well, it's easier to AI generate a rough article, and yeah, you can correct the article, but people will read only the headline, which will be made to sound, make me sound something alarmist. Prompt. Invoke strong emotions. Use polarization of people to... Listen, I'll be back to you in a moment, okay? Okay, what was I talking about? I mean AI and stuff like this. What is it now? That 50% or 90% of messages are basically AI, or at least MCP, so agentic AI looking for information. It's like best case scenario of what I can read, but in a few years, if someone remembers how spam started, email spam, mail spam, it's going to be that sort of thing, except with news, and yeah, so it's annoying now. In 2 to 3 years, you won't be able to... You might have difficulties getting actual information. So, think happy thoughts, I guess. Yes, there are good-ish use cases of AI. I mentioned my own, like, I don't have enough human contact. It's not good. It's parasocial relationships. It's not real. But, I think in that comment, either someone replied to that comment or someone replied to me, I don't know, because the interface on mobile and also on desktop in YouTube has changed, so now there are trees of comments and I am not exactly sure they work correctly, but they were talking, they used a 3-letter acronym that I don't know, but it looks suspiciously close to let's just say, suggesting that the person does harm to themselves. I don't know to whom it was, addressed, but don't. Like, I would love to, in a way. It would help me escape the troubles I have, but I can't. Not at the moment. I have my father to take care of, I have my brother to take care of. But what do you think happens if I do that? And if you said this to the person who replied to me thoughtlessly, like, I wouldn't call their comment like the most well thought out, and I suspect they might even copy paste some of their comments or something like that, so also not hyper creative. But if you said this to the other person, then you are starting to become part of the problem, because you are getting also manipulated by AI misinformation, by all this kind of stuff. I don't know. Listen, I could probably write a book about manipulation, misinformation, disinformation, and heck, I could probably write a book about just how AI is used in that field. From subtle, emotional changes to like big psyops that have gigantic impact on the world. And I could also, talk about ethics, about morals, about everything. It would be a big book. But I don't think I would start randomly going on videos. I watch and I see a comment that's not AI hating. Like, my comment wasn't great. I wrote it as quickly as possible because it was sort of follow-up to my previous comment under different video of Gamers Nexus, which I also wrote from this perspective of a person who uses local AI, that you should also think of it as threat, as bad, that what these AI companies are doing. It's just like explaining, I am trying to be a reasonable person who tries to explain to AMD and Nvidia and Intel fanboys that these companies aren't your friends. But I get called out. So my comment wasn't also very well worded. Might have been ambiguous. Still, I wouldn't respond to a comment like mine in that way. If I wanted to mock someone or pile on them or something like that, I would at least ask why they use AI. Something like that. Because there might be reasons that I cannot imagine that might be, legit, and that I should ideally shut the hell up because I'm not helping. course making things worse in this case. Listen, stand up against big companies, stand on the side of individual people. If you are making videos and or posting pictures that have some kind of AI, oh god, generative input, at least make it very obvious, like write disclaimer, have it in your name, something like this, and not at the end, not with font size 1, disclaimer or something like this. Make it big. Like Julia Turk, she's a creator, educator who talks about AI, and she's educating people, and she's using Manim, Python library for animation, to create some animations for her videos, and they are vibe coded, so those animations are made using AI, because the way you make animations in Manim is you code the animation, what happens on the screen. And you can sometimes see this, especially in like her first 2 attempts, that, let's just say, those edges were rough. But she at least credits the use, and she talks openly about this. Like, she might have not said it in the first video that she created. She credited that she used Manim and 3 Blue 1 Brown Grant Sanderson as library, but she might have not mentioned that she vibe coded it. But she mentioned it later, I think in the second video, or in the description of second video, and then she made a video about it. Because in this case, you are using a tool that's basically like increasing your ability to basically create, because it doesn't create anything on its own. You have to give it the ideas. It just sort of finishes it. It just gives it, like, makes it look actually, makes look square look like a square. Okay, I'll finish in a moment. Okay. So yeah, there are some uses of AI that I don't mind, but try to mention it if you are using AI, and if you are using AI not to, help you do something that you cannot do on your own, or you cannot afford someone else to do it for you, or this kind of stuff, then you sort of have to mention it. And if you are using it to basically make your content, oh god, at this point I would consider you part of the problem, because you are taking part in, and I'm not going to say this word, Gamers Nexus uses it. I think you can go watch their video, and yeah, I very much agree. So there are different levels, and honestly I'm not even comfortable. I thought about vibe coding Manim, because there are so many layers of what would be between actual creative process and AI, because it's not like Stable Diffusion that it uses, it's like a LoRA trained on a specific artist or something like this, to make it to make a image look like this artist created it. Now this one is simply to draw shapes, and yes, there is a flavor of it specific to 3 Blue 1 Brown, but it was also, first of all, it is in open source, and second of all, it's like I have legitimate problems with Python, with coding language. I'm not very good at coding, like at all, to be honest, and Python is like, I don't know why I bounce from it. So if I'm given a code, I can very slowly, line by line, you can actually almost feel how my forefinger is moving when I'm going line by line. I can sort of get it, and I could maybe draw an algorithm tree, which is something that I used to do in a grade school. I used to write programs in a notebook, in a physical notebook, actually. So yeah, that kind of stuff. So, but I'm not comfortable yet with putting manim vibe coding for my videos. At least not until, I don't know, maybe 3 Blue 1 Brown will have an input and he will say that it's okay to do this for at least private projects, basically like mine, that 5 people will watch, maybe. I don't know if I would feel comfortable. Yet I am not calling out people who do this and talk openly about this, although maybe not, blast about it every second. I don't call them out and call them the problem, because the problem are actually, people who, use AI hallucinations to generate stories that defame people, that destroy people's lives, stuff like that, Talk about orders of magnitudes, or, different kind of harm or no harm compared to gigantic, enormous amount of harm. I realize I parked in front of the pharmacy again. I need to go to the shop. Ah, Jesus Christ. You know what? I might actually need one thing from pharmacy. Okay. Be kind to each other. Subscribe, like, whatever. Leave a comment. Don't be jerks to each other. Bye.